I've said it before. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling, dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you. The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees. Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, I get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, Old El Paso's newest spokesman, Senor Strudwick.
How are we doing today, everybody? Welcome into the show. Thanks for joining us today. Lots to get to today, but our show is brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Should you need a new train furnace, air conditioner, heat pump, hot water tank, or garage heater, Weiss Johnson is now offering 24 months of no interest, equal payments, OAC, to make your purchase easier. Heading into the Christmas season, their family helping your family for nearly 50 years. Visit wjjingle.com for exclusive specials just for Got Your Back jingle lovers. Hit it, dude.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Oh, and I'm fired up for today's show. We got Zubie with me. We've got Ryan Rishaug joining us in about 10, 12 minutes. And we've got you. Thanks for tuning in today. We really appreciate Zubes. Lots to get to today. We're obviously going to get into some of the discussion with the Oilers. But the Blue Jays just lost out. And, man, there are all kinds of deals. We don't want to surprise if people don't know, but there's all kind of rumors flowing around about the Blue Jays. We'll get to those later. But it's a good time to be a Canadian sports fan.
I only know the one bit of news, so I hope if there's some other rumors you're going to drop some knowledge for me. I'd be excited to hear about any other good news coming the Blue Jays' way after so much goodwill built up throughout this season.
It's been so good. And Bo Bichette, let's see what happens there. I can't wait to see how this evolves. And the good thing is free agency is right around the corner here for MLB. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to get to some Oilers chatter, get you set up on what it looks like. Let's take a snapshot in time where the Oilers are right now, both as a group and as some individuals. Rishaug will join us. We'll get through some of that with him as well. And then playing the field. We'll talk about some different things going on and a huge announcement in golf this morning that many people maybe thought of coming. I'm not sure where it's going to go from where it is now, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And then get off the fence. Of course, our resident goalie is going to talk about a pretty, what's the right word? Controversial goalie play last night for the Nashville Predators, Zoobs.
I send you, a couple ideas about get off the fence every week, and I'd say about 95% of what I send you is goalie related. You have to you're forced to sift through it and say, yeah, this is relevant or not. but this time we got one pretty clear. This is it's controversial. Lots of people talking about this goal, and I have just a little bit of goalie insight that I don't know if it'll change people's minds, but we'll see.
And we'll get to that a little bit later. And obviously, we'll hear from you and ask Struddy. We love hearing all your thoughts and what you've got on your ideas. So let's get into it right away here with Get You Up to Speed, brought to you by our good buddies at McDonald's. McDonald's Canada is celebrating the return of hockey season with Fan Day deals. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, score a Big Mac, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish Fan Day deal for just $4.49 plus tax, only through the McDonald's app. Download the McDonald's app to score great deals and earn My McDonald's rewards towards free McDonald's. As we do, we're going to give away a $50 gift certificate a little bit later in this segment. So keep in mind when Zubie's got his great trivia question. Okay, so right now, let's get a snapshot where the Oilers are. They are 6-5-4, 6 wins, 5 losses, 4 overtime losses. 16th spot. Currently, they're in 16 points. They're in 13th spot in the league. To give you a sense, last year, they finished 9th in the league. Now, I know they've played more games than others, so the point percentage, but we're just trying to take a snapshot while we're here today, pretty small. There are some things that are going really well for the Oilers. I'm talking really, really well. Number one, and I didn't think this was going to be the case, Zub, the power play. The power play last year was 23.7%. Glenn Gullickson was the maestro that conducted this great group of talented players to that. And we saw some historic numbers from him while Gullickson was in control. He moved over to the Dallas Stars. I thought the power play might dip. Well, right now we're sitting at 35%. Good for number one in the NHL. I can't believe that. This is a major storyline for me that this group is doing so well. And when you factor in Zubie, no Zach Hyman. He's been a staple in front of that net, opposing team's net. And McDavid, Connor, and Leon have been banking shots off him and in for goals. This, to me, is the biggest surprise of the season, the level the power play is performing at, Zubes.
And I feel like it's even, as you said, I feel like it's even a little bit under the radar that the power play is connecting at the rate it is. And part of me wonders if many of the goals come really quick. You know, they've been scoring before the guy in the box has had time to get a drink. And it's been really efficient, scoring lots of goals from that spot in really tight to the net as Roslovic cashed in from there. So it almost just feels like that could be part of why it's running under the radar, is that it's just happening like lightning.
It is. It's so true. And I think that people expect the power play to be good. But when you've kind of slowed down a little bit in the last year, and then you get a new coach and you actually improve, that's a major storyline, people, and something that you should feel really good about because it is masking some of the other issues on this team. Another good one are the shots against. I believe in suppressing shots against as much as possible. Now, last year, it was a full season. We're only talking about a handful not even 20% of the game so far. They're 27 shots against per game. They're at just below 25, 24.9 shots against per game. I think this is important to note. I think that it makes a big difference. It is challenging another team and making it hard for them to get shots to the net. And we've seen the Oilers go periods where they've given up 2, 4, 6 shots, which is pretty incredible when you look at some of the teams they've played, including a Dallas and others recently, Zubes.
And as we talked about, I thought Schauger actually in Ask Us Anything last night said something really interesting when I was kind of taking stock of the fact that the Oilers have only given up 9 shots on goal in the last two in the third periods of these last 2 games.
Crazy.
And allowed 3 goals. So it feels like defensively the feel is that they look kind of locked down in the third, but the goals are going in, and Schauger was quick to point out it's just the big individual mistakes, and that's what they got to cut out. So in that regard, I'm hopeful because I agree that limiting shots against, especially late in the game when you have a lead, is pretty darn important.
The final good one I have, but we want to hear from you. So if you're on the stream or on Twitter, shoot us a shot of what you believe is the good. Face-offs. Now, no one really likes face-offs. I tell you who loves it. D-men. We love for our centers to win the puck back so we can pass it back to them, and then we don't have to play in our own zone. Last year, 50.9%. This year at 52.6%. So that's quite a bit when you look at the improvement in the face-off dot. So again, the good are the power play, which is a massive, massive surprise for me considering all that's happened. Shots against down, face-off up. Those are the big ones, I think. Now, the bad, Zubie. Of course, there's always going to be a little rain in every day. The Oilers haven't run the table yet. Couple issues I have. Number one, the goals against per game. As much as they're limiting shots against, their goals against have actually gone up. So they're get less shots against every game, but their goals against have gone up. So this year they're 3.07 goals per game against. Last year 2.87. 2 things I want to just say about that. I think that when the Oilers make a mistake, she's a big one, right? Or there's a play where they mismanage a puck, they take the wrong read, bad change, whatever. I think that those things are really contributing to this, what we're seeing, less shots against, but more goals against per game, Zubes.
I totally agree. It's that big mistake, giving up a big chance. And it's, there was someone who said it on the stream the other night that just said, and we've talked about it before, just needing that one extra save. It's a combination. It's the big mistake and hoping your goalie is going to give you that one big extra save. Those things kind of go hand in hand for how many goals you give up in those, especially in those crucial moments in the game. But the thing about needing that one extra save, it's such a hard thing to quantify because how do you look down at the other end and say, that save, that one save that their guy made, is the equivalent of the goal that went in. It's a really difficult thing, but I think those two things intersect, go together, and that is completely the reason that the goals against are up.
And I love the way you frame it, because I think sometimes it's the timing of a save, right?
Yeah.
Just getting that save the time. And, you get 30 shots. Which one's the most important one? Well, I can't tell you till we watch the game. And I'll go back and say, that's when they needed to be saved. So that's a big deal. So goals against, to me, that's a concern. The other one that's a concern is giving up leads, and specifically 2-goal leads. This is, if you're not going to win every game, and there'll be games where teams are going to come back against you. But when you're a veteran team and you understand the value of just grinding out shifts, and at times just really nothing happening, it's okay to go out there and just play for 30, 40 seconds and nothing really happens. And then you turn it over to the next line. They don't really do anything. And the Oilers had an opportunity. If you flash back to last night's game, they're up 3-1. They get scored on less than a minute later. They just were not. I still believe they're not dialed into regular season hockey. For the most part, they are still playing loose, and they're, to be, not that they don't care, but I think they're just like, you know what? Wake us up in December or January, Zubie.
And they have a winning record, marginally, but it's so I suppose I can understand why they might have that mindset. I thought Brownie made a really good point last night too, that he talked about, he just felt like the Oilers roster is not designed to be a team that grinds you down and closes out a game when you have a lead, that they're still going to give up those chances. I thought that was kind of an interesting point, and maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit too. And of course, as we also talked about last night, some of the grinder, some guys who give you a little bit more of that grinding play are hopefully on their way back in Janmark, Kappen, and Hyman. So maybe those guys improve things in that department.
Well, you just nailed it with that one. I mean, those three guys are the ultimate grinders, right? That's what they do. They provide speed, smarts. They're good on the wall, all those types of things that you need. I mean, we're maybe a little premature. We did it last week, but what does this lineup look like when those guys get healthy, and who comes out? I think there's going to be some hurt feelings here as we move on. So just to recap, my good are the power play, shots against, faceoffs. The bad are the goals against and giving up 2-goal leads. What say you? Jump on the stream and let us know. Tell a friend. Really appreciate you tuning in. Zubie, let's bring him in. Ryan Rishaug. He's been busy this morning thinking about things that he likes and dislikes, not just in hockey, but in life in general. There he is. Shogger, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Good, buddy. Yeah, good. You gave me 4 minutes notice on what the content was going to be today, so I've done a total of 2.5 minutes of homework on it.
I sent that out pretty early. I think it was 9:30 this morning. There was a text that went out into the group chat. Oh yeah, I'll take a screenshot. I
might have missed that one
and send it in. Oh, you're busy. You were busy this morning. So, anyways, there's time, and I kind of want you to be off the top of your head here. I don't want to be a ton of research, but basically today we're reviewing what has gone well for the Oilers, and surprisingly well. I include the power play in that, and I think the shots against as well is something I think are surprising me. And then the bad are the goals against, even considering there's less shots against, they're giving up more goals a game, and then 2-goal leads. So, I guess on the bigger as a group, is there anything that in there that concerns you, or you disagree with, or something else that you see as something you want to take a look at?
No, I mean, I listened to the diatribe there, and I agree with both sides of it. Like, you're pointing out things that do matter, but what I would say is that there's no bigger headline for the Edmonton Oilers right now than them being a team that cannot hang on to a lead. And that quality right there, for me, supersedes a lot of whatever else might be going on. They gotta get their arms around this thing, Struds. They gotta figure out a way to, conjure up the requisite competitiveness and details to be able to put teams away. Because you make your season so much longer. Like, I think they were saying on the broadcast last night, did anybody in the league play more minutes in an even or 1-goal game? Like, they're just all these super tight games where you got to run the stars and you got to run the bench tired and you got to, this is a good enough team. They should have some more runaway nights where that 2-goal lead, you push it to a 3-goal lead, and then you can shift her down into, a defensive style game where you can, roll your lines and feel better about yourselves. So I just, this white knuckling it, trying to hang on to leads needs to get out of their game and quick. But the counter to that, for their power play to be doing what it's doing, I'm not quite as surprised as you are, because they still have the fun of, I mean, the best pieces of their power play are still there. And I think Glenn Gulletson was good and important to it, but really those are the guys. I mean, put whatever structure you want in place, those guys are going to figure out a way and make it work. So am I surprised it's as good as it is? Maybe a little bit, but you have to expect that to be a strength heading into every season, and it has been for the group. So a little bit greater concern on the one side, and certainly acknowledgement that the power play has been good.
On an individual level, I would say that my biggest surprise is Jack Roslovic. The way he's come in and offensively provided juice, points, goals, playmaking. I mean, last night we saw him drive the puck wide and slide it back door to Podkolzin against Harley, who's a really good defenseman. To me, he's been a really, really big surprise. I think that, obviously the D, there's been, Bouchard, Nurse, the start of Ekholm. Those guys haven't been up to the level we know they can be. I think they will get there. But is there a forward that you look at and think, man, this guy has left us wanting more? Maybe start of the year was Trent Frederick. I think Trent, he was not up to speed, and now he's getting physical. I still like to see him get into more. I'd like to see him get a couple scrums, a fight, make people upset. Like we saw Zadorov last night, just ragdoll Matthew Schaefer. You got to get, someone's got to be a little bit nasty on this team. And right now there's not a lot of that. So is there a player up front that you think has been underwhelming so far this year?
So you want to start on that side of it, on the underwhelming side? Yeah, I mean, in terms of the forward unit, I would say that, and here's Connor McDavid, leading the league again, right? He's right up there, and that's kind of where you expect to see him. I think from a goal scoring standpoint, he's coming around and starting to feel it. Had a good one last night that I think will definitely help. But I'm not going to start there. I think that Frederick, for the extra element that they expected him to bring, and that they're willing to do an 8-year deal with this player because he has an element that they don't think is going to be easy to find. Well, right now you could find a long list of players who will play the game the way Trent Frederick's playing it right now, right? There'd be a long list of guys that can come in and do it, and quite frankly, do it for less money than what they are paying him right now. There's an extra gear and an extra element that he can provide over the long term. And I'm in agreement with you. He just needs to start showing that and providing that sooner rather than later. And it's not just about dropping the gloves and fighting and this and that. It's just he's had a couple of games where he's clearly more aggressive and thinking about it. I mean, he had 5 hits last night, so his game's been coming on. But I think that needs to be the default mode for him. Other teams roll through, and guys that are good at that role, Struds, they find a way to do it a little bit every night. Then the odd night it goes overboard and it's a Donnie this and that. But there are very few nights where those players are just kind of silent and quiet. And he's had a couple too many of those for my liking, but it's been better lately.
Yeah, I think he's a guy. And I think that when I look at the forward group, I honestly feel that there's been a couple that have been exceeded or met what the expectations are. But for the most part, I think they all have another level. Just of play, but I think consistent play. I think that's what you're looking for, that consistent play and play in the offensive zone as much as possible. The D, I know they're going to get there because we've seen them do it. I have no doubt. Alec Regula, I think that's a guy you want to continue to play. And I think that's trouble for Emberson and Troy Setcher. Not sure where that leaves those guys, but I want to see more from Regula. So the D, I'm comfortable with. I think up front, that group needs to, they need to find another level of consistency of the way they play in the offensive zone, because we haven't seen a ton of offensive zone time, extended shifts where they just grind and grind and grind. And you got 1, 2, maybe 3 lines out there, Schauger.
On the positive side, in evaluating some different players, we haven't really talked about them a lot on the show. But how about the fact that in 78 games last season, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins ended up with 49 points. Mm-hmm. Well, in 15, he's got 16 points already this season. So he's better than a point a game. And you wonder why the power play is maybe a little bit extra, energized ahead of where you thought it might be. Well, just his power play contributions, he's got 9 points on the power play already. Just that gives the extra 4, 5, 6% on the power play that makes a big difference. I think, he's been good this year. It's almost like he recognized with Hyman out and the team experimenting with some new players in their top six that he was going to have to step up. And I like the point production that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has brought into this season. I like he's shown a bit more of a shooting mentality, I would say. He's got 5 goals already. He had 20 last season. So he's on a better pace than he was last year, but a good points pace, good production. He's playing like a true point-a-game top 6 forward.
All right, so then the million-dollar question. Let's say Zach Hyman returns Saturday. I'm not saying he's going to. Let's say it. Do you plunk Hyman right beside him? And if so, beside McDavid? And if so, who comes off that line?
Yeah. You made the point on the show that maybe it's the opportunity they've been waiting for to give Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a legitimate look at 3C, right? Kind of go with that 3-headed monster, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins down the middle, because the truth is, with Podkolzin and Roslovic playing well with Leon Draisaitl, you probably don't need to touch that line or want to touch that line. That's doing well. Then you've got Nugent-Hopkins, who's been pretty good with McDavid. The Mangiapane fit comes and goes a little bit here. So for me, the easiest solution is you drop Mangiapane out of the top 6. You keep that other line intact. You create a line for him, a third line for him. And you go Hyman, McDavid, and Nugent-Hopkins, which is familiar together. And I think that's the most likely default mode, Struds. But there is a certain interest for me in seeing what it looks like with Mangiapane, Hyman, Podkolzin, and Roslovic as the top 6 wingers, and having Nugent-Hopkins in the middle on the third line, and maybe you mix in, whether it's Frederick or Savoy or maybe both of those guys, trying a little bit something different on the third line, which now gives you Adam Henrique as your fourth line center. You're in great shape there. Those are playable centers. Really, now you got no line that you're not comfortable throwing out there based on the guy running things from the middle of the ice. And then maybe they can distribute the minutes a little more evenly, give everybody a little bit of a bigger piece. So I don't know if it happens right away, but I like the point you made about 93 getting back to the middle when Hyman's back.
It's going to be interesting to see, because I mean, they have options, right? They have a lot of options in there to make that happen. And I think, I wonder if Savoy and Nuge doesn't really work well together. Then put a big body beside him, whether it's Trent Frederick or Kapanen at some point when he returns, that speed. But they have options. And I think that the team, and I'll leave you with this, where the team's at 16 points through this chunk of the season, or smaller chunk of the season, Hyman has a big impact. It will have a big impact on the team. And I think when the calendar turns into December, I think that has an impact on the team as well.
What do you mean? Like getting through the ugly schedule? Like they've got so much on the road, and why December?
Well, I think that's, they've had the last 2 years, they've had slow starts. The 1 year they changed the coach and that sent them off. And last year was around, I think it was mid-November, end November, they kind of got themselves going. I think this is a team that slumbers a bit. They're in hibernation, and they'll find they have a much higher gear across the board. On top of the good things they're doing, they are slumbering. So I think that another 3-4 weeks, and this team will, Hyman will be back. These guys will find another gear, and they'll be gone. And we'll look back at the first 2 months thinking, okay, well, we were there's a lot to talk about, but that isn't the same team it is now being December.
Yeah, I think that's all realistic. I think that's all fair. The interesting thing for Hyman, he's been off for quite a while here. What will he look like when he comes back? Is he just going to step right back into the lineup and be Zach Hyman within 10 days? Or is it going to take him a little bit of time here? And does that affect who's on the line, who isn't on the line?
Yeah.
I think they need to see a little bit of what he brings and what he's got. And maybe you want to keep Nugent-Hopkins up there if Hyman's going to take a little bit of time. But they're getting some real legit experience back in their lineup here, Struds, in the next little bit. Like when you insert Hyman, Janmark, and Kapanen, and you take out Howard, Philp, and Tomashik, you're a better, more veteran team that knows how to function in tight spaces and tough games. They're a way better team with those 3 back.
Hyman, I think his legs will be fine. I think the timing and hands will be the challenge, right?
Yeah.
That, because he's going to be able to, you have a broken arm, or I know is more significant than that, but you can skate around like crazy. If it's a bad leg, it takes longer. So I think the legs will be there. The hands and timing are the 2 things I'm worried about.
Well, and does he get PP1 right away? I mean, Roslovic is making a hell of a case for just sitting tight
Yeah.
there and giving Hyman some time to get things going again before he works his way back there. And Hyman's the kind of guy too that I would assume would be like, hey man, let it roll. Like, it wouldn't be an issue with him.
It's nice to have a different look though, isn't it? Because they're different
Yeah,
players. Roslovic and Hyman are
different.
different. And I'm not saying Roslovic's better than Hyman because the success he's had there is undeniable, but it's a different look. And I think that if you want to have a different look, even for half of it, you leave the guys out there for, whatever, a good chunk of the power play, you can switch those two guys up to have different feels, different looks for the defenders. And that matters as a defender because you're like, this guy doesn't play the same as this guy. Okay, Schauger, thanks for this, buddy. Thanks for jumping in. We'll catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
We've got a pod. Yeah, an off night pod, and we'll talk to you then, buddy.
Looking forward to it. Don't break the channel after I leave.
You got it. You got it, buddy. See you later. All right, that's a great Shaggy. Anything in there interests you, Zubes, as we guided through a bunch of stuff there?
Well, what I thought was I thought actually an interesting comment came in about who's coming back, and Noel Rinsky came in and he said he liked the idea of Janmark, Henrique, and Kapanen. He thought that would be an amazing fourth line. What do you think about going that direction?
Yeah, I like the idea. I'm on record. I like the idea of Nuge at center because it just makes you 4 veteran good centers, right? So that if in that case, your third line would be what? Nuge, Trent, and Savoy. I'm guessing that's what he's going to do. So that means Tomashik's out, Phillips out, Lazar's out, and it's probably the way it's going to go. I'm guessing. I've been in those shoes before. It's not much fun. So that's a great one, Noel. And I think that's. I mean, now you've got 4 lines that are really can go, and I think they'll find another juice. As my final thought here, they've been sleepwalking. They're not. They wake up for chunks and pieces and minutes, but they haven't been themselves. And we've seen this show before. So I think in another month or so, Zubes will be. This team will be buzzing.
It feels like a little bit of the reverse of that previous years. It's like they sleepwalk through the first and second, they get down a couple goals, and it's like, oh, we better turn it on and try to come back in this game. And this year, it's like they've actually had recently anyway some pretty good starts, and it feels like we've proved we can do it. And then that's when they fall into the slumber. It's like kind of the opposite of what I feel like we saw in the last couple of seasons.
Well, they should have 3 more points. They should be at 19 points. They should have won the last 2 games. No doubt in my mind they should have, but they didn't. So here we are talking about where they're at. Okay, Zubie, we've got something to give away. You've got a trivia question. I love that you haven't told me it, so I wonder if I have any clue here. Let's see what you got. And the trivia questions. Trivia is brought to you by McDonald's. $50 gift certificate up for grabs. The first one to DM our GYB Twitter account with the correct answer will win. And as a reminder, you have to be in Canada to win. Sorry, all our friends outside.
And sorry to our other friends who have already won. You can't have won something from us in the past 30 days as well. Okay, so we're going to do another Who Am I? So I've got 3 clues here. Today's Who Am I? I'm an Edmonton-born, retired former NHL player, and the last NHL team I played for was the Edmonton Oilers. The second clue is I was an undersized forward, originally drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. And the third clue is my childhood best friend is fellow Edmontonian and one-time Minnesota Wild teammate, Jared Spurgeon.
I've got it. And I love this guy. I love him. I remember the first time I skated with him. I think he is 20 or 21. I went to a skills session. Yeah, I know. I should have gone tomorrow. I get it. And he was out there. And I remember thinking, who is this guy and Jared Spurgeon? I couldn't do anything. And they were just whipping pucks around and scoring all over the place. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? So I asked the guy that was running it, Eric Morstead. He's like, oh, they're both drafted. These guys are, A and B. I'm like, oh my God. And I knew they both, Spurgeon's still playing and the other guy had a really good career. So good question, Zub. I love it. And I'm pretty sure he likes McDonald's. I've seen him in there before. He's a big fan of Big Macs on Tuesdays. Nice. Okay, let's take a pause here. When we come back, we're going to play the field. Oh, man, who doesn't love Blue Jay off-season talk? We'll get to that next here on the show. Stay with us, everybody.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Can I get
The new McVeggie. Now at McDonald's.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for taking this lunch hour to join with us. If you like what you're hearing, tell a friend, give us a thumbs up or subscribe. We really appreciate it. We love sharing our ideas here on Struddy's World. All right, now it's time to play the field, brought to you by HSC Core Services. Need a safety program? They build it. Need it managed? They've done it. Stuck dealing with those online safety registries your clients make you sign up for? Yep, they handle those too. And yes, they also do core audits. Visit www.hsccore.com. That's HSECOR.com for more info. Quick story, I was playing tennis Monday with Tom, and I hammered a ball. I was trying to go 5-hole on him, and I hit him in the shin. He took it like a champ. I think he only left the court for about 15 minutes, and then he eventually came back. So he's going to be okay. Short hospital visit, he said. But Tom, I apologize, but I had good smoke on that one. I absolutely pounded it, Zubie. Okay, off season for MLB, and it's quick how quick it comes up when your team makes it to the World Series Game 7. Right. Blue Jays lose. I don't want to rehash that. But last night, as I was getting ready to tuck myself in for a slumber after our podcast, Zubie, I saw that Shane Bieber opted in for his player option with the Blue Jays. So just so you understand it, he was traded to the Blue Jays, and he had a player option. That means he could choose to take the contract, or he would become a free agent. Well, Biebs, who I've got Bieber fever for, said, I'm joining. So that means he gets paid $16 million next year. And then he can, do whatever he wants. But the Blue Jays, that leaves them with a starting 3 of Gausman, Trey Savage, and the Bieber fever. Now, Brios is also under contract. Bissett is gone. Max Scherzer, well, not gone, but they're free agents, Scherzer and Bissett. But those 4 alone, Zubie, if you're a Blue Jays fan, you should be feeling pretty good. That's a pretty good place to start with any other pitching rotation. Now, they're one short, and that's TBD. And there are like Lauer and those type of guys kicking around. But I was so happy to see that he opted in. Obviously, it means he likes what's going on in Toronto.
Yeah, it's he's only 30 too. Like he missed a season, missed basically all of last season due to injury. But he's only 30 years old, so he is certainly still in his prime. I think it's interesting. I looked up on the player options, because it seems to me, my gut reaction to seeing them is that they're not usually taken, because most of these guys think salaries are always going up. So they hit a point where it's like, I can negotiate something better than this, especially when the player option is usually just for 1 year remaining. And in the last 5 years, only about 30% of the time do players exercise the player option when they have that option rather than opting out. And it is usually used more often by guys who have had injuries, don't think they can get more. But I don't think that's the case with Shane Bieber and what he showed here in the last little bit of the season and into the playoffs. So I do think this really speaks to he likes the city, he likes the team, and he sees the possibility to win there again next year.
I love the way he phrased that. He's got to, because he spoke at length after how he just loved the culture and the team and all that. That makes a big difference. Still no news for Bo Bichette. That is, there's a lot of insiders weighing in saying that there's a good chance that the Blue Jays, if there's a tie in money or anything else, it'll go to the Blue Jays because of his respect for the franchise, but also his love of playing with his good buddy Vladdy Guerrero. So nothing there yet. I'm hopeful that something gets done quick, but you look at some of the big dollar clubs looking for a second or shortstop. My gut says he stays, Zubie. Because it's not like he hasn't made a lot of money already. My gut says he's going to stay, but I guess we'll see in the next little while here.
I kind of think so too, but I won't be shocked if he leaves. But I kind of think he stays too, because I was reading some stuff too about that. Most teams probably, his defense, he's had the injuries and his defensive numbers are kind of so, and that if he wants to be, and the teams that might be looking at him don't necessarily need a shortstop. So he's not necessarily going to be playing where he wants to anyway. So I think there's a good chance, a better than 50% chance that he sticks around.
Now, one last point I want to make this. So obviously they may lose some players and you may not get everyone you want, but they're going to get one player they already have who really wasn't around all last year. And that was Santander, right? That was their bid off season signing. He's a big bat. And Zubie, I would characterize his contributions to the year last year as minimal at best. I think, and that might be a bit optimistic, Zubie. Sorry to be used such strong language around you, but there wasn't much there. So keep in mind, they paid him last year. He was on the payroll and he's in their cap. I think that if he's healthy and can produce at the level he has in the past, that's a big bat coming into a lineup that they could have used last year in the playoffs for sure.
Switch hitter too, right? Power from both sides of the plate, and usually kind of a late. Now I know this because he was on my fantasy team and I cursed him out a number of times throughout the year this year. And then once he was finally on IR and my team was doing well, I was like, just stay there, please. I don't want to have to make the decision of where I'm going to put you. But I wonder if they, I think he signed a 5-year deal. If there's something, I mean, I know there's no salary cap in baseball and the Blue Jays are one of I think the 5th highest payroll, but I wonder if there's if they look at moving on from him, and using that money, then there's more money that can go towards Bo Bichette. I don't think his value would be very high in a trade right now. I don't know how, and I don't know enough about baseball contracts to know if he has any kind of protection, but they proved a couple things. One, they didn't really need him. They did almost everything they did without him. And two, that, they paid a lot of money for him. He was injured. So, I mean, you try not to be too hard on his production, but it didn't seem like they needed him.
Well, last note, both Dalton Varsho and Ernie Clement have arbitration rights, so they'll both expect raises. They had incredible years.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Live Golf has been around, and some people love it, some people hate it. I know the PGA doesn't love it. If you're not familiar with it, a lot of the top players left and chased money that they were guaranteed in this Live. The great thing about Live is it was a 54-hole tournament. So I felt that players were tired. They didn't want to play 4 rounds, so they only played 3. Well, today that changed. They now are playing 4 rounds. And the name Live stands for 54. Now it's changed to 72. So it feels like this is starting to unravel a little bit. There's been a lot of rumors that the two were going to join again, PJ and Live. That hasn't happened before. I believe some of this has to do with the idea of players wanting to get that world ranking points so they can qualify for different tournaments. But with so few players and a weaker lineups because of the fact that these players have lost a lot of points, some are wondering if it even makes a difference. It's just too little too late. So I just wonder if this weakens the position Liv has vis-a-vis joining or rejoining with the PGA.
Yeah, maybe it weakens that position. It doesn't seem to weaken how deep their pockets are to pay the players to come there. I you know what, Struddy, I hate to say I would consider myself as a sports fan, a slightly, not a casual golf fan, whatever the next level is, higher than that.
Yeah.
This whole thing is I watch way less golf overall now because of it, because I don't really want to support Liv. So I haven't watched them. And then the talent pool in PGA of tournaments out. I watch the majors now and that's it, because the talent pool's drained on the rest of it. And I don't know, it's kind of, and I don't know everything about it, but I don't love all of the background stuff of the sport washing. And then and so I don't know, it's put a sour taste in my mouth for watching golf at all. And I'll tell you that this is bad for Liv too. The Roman numeral for 72 is LXXII. So I try to make a word out of that. I guess it'll be Lexi, and they can have a lovely young lady as their spokesmodel.
Here is Roy McIlroy, who's been very adamant, against Liv. He says, I think it's a peculiar move that they switched to 72 holes because I think they could have got ranking points with 3 rounds because the strength of their fields are going to be so weak because a lot of guys have fallen already in world rankings because they have not had ranking points for so long. I don't know if the ranking points are really going to benefit them. So, I mean, he's been pretty adamant anti-live.
Yeah.
But, we'll see what happens with this moving forward. But this feels kind of like a first step of unraveling for live. Now, I might be wrong, but it feels like it. Lastly, protecting your star players is important. On Sunday night, I believe it was Washington playing with Jayden Daniels, their stud quarterback, and they're losing by a bag full of points. And their coach, Quinn, left Jayden Daniels in there, and it was one of the grossest. Well, we've seen a pretty few gross injuries between that and Cam Scadaboo, but his elbow was twisted at the wrong angle for sure. And now he's taken a lot of heat. And Ajay, since then, he's actually admitted that it was his fault to leave his star player in a game that late, Zubie. And I can't imagine why you do this. What point are you trying to prove? But I can't stand it when I see coaches doing this type of thing.
Yeah, dislocated elbow. It's a 30-point difference at that point in time in the game with about 7 minutes remaining. The Seahawks had already pulled many of their starters. And dislocated elbow on his non-throwing arm. So at least that if there's a silver lining, it's sure. that probably not career ending or altering. But yeah, you know what? I see both sides of this one. It's hard. I understand you're playing to win the game. He's been, he's coming back from an injury. And so maybe you're trying to get him those reps. And it is, I mean, football's a collision sport. As my football coach used to say, he used to tell us hockey and basketball, those are contact sports. Football's a collision sport. And you can have you can have it on the first play of the year too, as it happened to Aaron Rodgers, whatever that was, sure. 2 years ago with the Jets. So, Achilles. But I do think you play the percentages, you get him out of there, and it's tough if you're a Commanders fan. Pretty tough to see this guy going down again.
Really
you were gonna say make the hockey comparison though, Struddy. Yeah. You have strong feelings about that.
So we were playing in the playoffs when I was with the Rangers, and I believe it was 4-1 toward the end of the game, and Jaromir Jagr was our star, and our coach put him out there to kill a penalty. He never killed penalties. In fact, I don't think he even knew how to kill a penalty. But while he was out there, he reached out and injured his shoulder, and he was injured the rest of that series. So I remember sitting there thinking, why are we putting him on? Like, he doesn't kill penalties. It's 4-1. There's not much time left. We're not going to come back and win this thing. Keep them safe. I would bubble wrap my star players, whether I was up a ton or down a ton. I bubble wrap them, throw it on the bench, and then send out the meat wagon to clean up the mess or to keep it going. I never understood it. I've felt that all the time. Even if you're up, 3 touchdowns with, half a quarter to go, put someone else in. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You do not need to injure those guys. They're too valuable, and then it gives other guys opportunities. So I just not right, Zubes.
And in hockey, I like this more than the load management of not dressing a guy at all. Like, I can more get behind of you dress all your star players, even if maybe the game itself isn't that important. And then when it gets away, you can put your subs in, play your top guys can go out for whatever power play but I'm surprised there's not a little bit more of that sort of in-game load management, especially in hockey.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Just grinding out your top players doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, Nick Biskupek wants to know who was the coach at that time.
Oh, Tom Rennie. And I get it. Like, he was trying to win. I get that. But, everyone in the building knows you're not coming back. And I love Tom as a coach. I had him twice. I absolutely loved him as a coach. Good question. I should have said that. Let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to get off the fence. We're going to talk about a goal that was allowed last night between the Minnesota Wild and the Preds. Stay with us for that, everybody.
Our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that just leads to better living.
Warranties are useless if the company that sold it to you is nowhere to be found. With 20 years experience in Alberta, DLR takes pride in backing its products with honesty and integrity for the long haul. Because summers are for parties and toasts, not chasing warranty ghosts. Go vinyl at dlrvinylproducts.ca.
Time to get off the fence, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. If you want a deck that lasts, you need to check out Vecca Deck and Wolf Serenity. Exclusive boards with a pure PVC core, resistant to water, mold, and insects. With a natural wood grain finish protected by UV inhibitors, your deck stays looking new without the sanding and staining of wood. In stock now at both Edmonton and Calgary locations. Visit www.dlrvinylproducts.ca. All right, let's get to this. Do you want to set this up as the goalie? Because I know you're going to, or should I be the unbiased one? Actually, I'm biased against goalies. You better do it, Zeus.
Okay. So in the game last night between the Minnesota Wild and the Nashville Predators, in overtime, a goal was scored with, I don't think there's any discussion as to whether the net was still on the moorings or not. The net came off. There was a passing play. The goalie pushed off of the net. The net came off, way off, and everybody kind of stopped except for the Wild players who pulled the puck out. It didn't go in on the initial play. It hit the side of the net as it swung around. It came back to that player, and he tucked it around the post and put it into where the net would have been, and it was called a goal, and it held up as the goal, the overtime winner. Now, I do have some still shots of this. That I'll show. We don't have the copyright to actually show it. So this is the play. This is the point at which you can see the goalie coming across. The net is just slightly dislodged there. The pass is coming across. Now you can see the net's way off. The puck here is on the outside of the net. And then here you can see now that's where the net is. You can actually see the puck right at the goal line there. So he brings it back and he just kind of nonchalantly tucks it through there. It was about a second and a half that the net was off that I roughly counted today. And then there's another view. You can see he just puts it through the open space, and that was determined to be a goal, Struddy. And before I get into why I don't think it should be a goal, I'll also tell you there was a tweet here from former NHL official Dave Jackson. If the defensive team knocks the net off intentionally or accidentally, and the attacking team has an imminent scoring opportunity, then the play is allowed to be completed. Correct call, in his opinion. What about you, Struddy?
Well, I think I love Dave Jackson. I oftentimes go back and refer to what he's saying to kind of get a sense of what the right call was, because some people say, well, how do you know if it's accidental or not? I've known my wife for a long time. I can't read her mind, so I'm guessing the referee can't read the mind of a netminder. Did he intentionally or not intentionally, or intentionally or accidentally knock that net off? So if you let this go, other goalies see it, and goalies cheat. Zubie, God, I love you, but God, you guys cheat so bad, whether it's equipment or flopping around in the crease. So they'll all cheat. So I love that this was a statement. They said, if you, whether on purpose or by accident, you knock off the net, play continues. And I think that's a strong message. So unfortunately, Nashville paid the price last night, but I think on the good side, I think all the other NHL teams benefit because now they know the standard is what it is and it's being upheld strictly.
I'll say this. I like that it's in the rule to say intentionally or unintentionally, because then it takes it takes that part of the discussion out of it. And I'll say what I don't like, and I think about this play, and I think about the play actually in the Blue Jays game where the ball got trapped under the wall. I hate everybody stopping and expecting the whistle to be blown or the officials to rule on something before the play has officially stopped. So I would have liked to see the Nashville players, there's three of them standing there, continue working at the puck, even though the net has come off. Now, the reason why I don't think this should be a goal, and there is we'll get into, I have a feeling Noel Rinsky is probably writing a big message right now because I saw his response to Dave Jackson on Twitter. We'll get to that as well. But the part about this that I don't like, and I'll bring the screenshots back up as a goalie and why I don't think this should count, is he is using the post or trying to use the post to get back to the other side. Oh, that's not the, where did that go? Here, this one, pardon me. He actually can't get over there because he couldn't push off the post. You can see that gap that's there. He's trying to push himself off the post here to get to that other post. That post gives way, which is why I do believe it's unintentional also, and that's just coming from the goalie side of things. I believe it's unintentional. And then you can see he's in the same spot. He tried to push to get back to that post. So the equipment, if you will, the rink has let him down. It's like, a gate not closing, and a player falling out of a broken gate and getting called for too many men on the ice, or so, I mean, that wouldn't happen, but I think there's an expectation of the goalie being able to push off the post as well, and he can't do that, and that's why that 1 foot gap is sitting there. So what I know what Noel said on Twitter is also that it's in the completion of the play that they can give some leeway of the net being off. And in Noel Rinsky's opinion, and he'll tell me if I'm wrong, I know, but basically that the deflection attempt was the completion of the play. And that went to the side of the net. And then that's when the whistle should have blown. And then he digs it back out, pulls it around the post and puts it in. And that was no longer, that was the next play in his opinion. Now I'm not so firm on that aspect, but my opinion is the play should be stopped because the goalie was not able to get to position because the net gave way.
Right. No, and listen, I understand. I get where you're coming from, but how can we tell if someone did it accidentally or intentionally? That's the problem that I have. To me, in real time, it looks like his left arm goes up and he pushes against it. Now, I'm not a goalie, but when a guy's pushing across, do you push across with your hand or your leg? I thought they put their foot in there and push across. So I think when your arm goes up, to me, that's a sign that he's not trying to push across. He's trying to push it off.
You might use both in that desperation moment of knowing, because he moved left first thinking the shot was coming there and then had to push across. So you might use both, but it certainly does. I think it becomes exaggerated because the net comes off. He's pushing and then the net comes off. So it really looks like he pushed it with his hand. And I agree. The optics of that looks like he pushed it off on purpose. I don't feel like in that spot, many goalies are thinking that I believe he's thinking about the save, and then the net gives way. Maybe he leans into it. But I think if you were seeing goalies just deliberately on a 2-on-1, I'm just going to, if I hit the post, I'm just going to take this right off. I think you'd see a lot more of that happen.
No. Well, listen, it's an interesting one. We don't see that play often. I was surprised when I saw it, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Did a little more research on it. So it's a rare thing that happens, but I think we can all agree the standard has been set. And if we do see it again, I think that's important to know that's what it is. And I think I like that. I like just knowing that this is what we are at, and this is a rule that's going to be called. So good discussion. If you have any chime in your thoughts on the stream, we love hearing from you. Let's move in now to where it's time for you guys to jump in. Actually, before we do that, do we have a winner on the GC for McDonald's? Or do you want to just give the answer? You don't have to maybe tell, but
yeah, the answer was Tyler Ennis.
Tyler Ennis.
Edmonton guy. Tyler Ennis, that was the answer. And it's Garen Schmer. I'm going to get it wrong. Schmermond.
Schmermond.
Garen Schmermond. And he's here with us on the stream as well. And so, yeah, he's our winner of the McDonald's $50 gift card. And I'll get back to you on the Twitter there, Garen. Get your information to get that mailed off to you. So congratulations on getting the trivia question right.
That's a lot of Big Macs. That's yes, a nice one to win. That's a really nice one to win. Yeah. All right, let's get now to Ask Struds, brought to you by Timber Haas Developments, the leader in custom and infill development with the knowledge and experience to bring your dream to life. If you're tired of cookie cutter, copy and paste designs with no soul, see the team at Timber Haas and discover how naturally inspired living can make your life better. Take all the guesswork out of your infill project and work with experienced leaders. Visit timberhaas.ca. Zubes, what do the people want to know today?
Just one more thing on that goal, which I remember that guy, there was like a college or minor league goalie who determined that if you deliberately pushed the net off, the rule was the opposing team gets a penalty shot, and
Yeah.
he did it. There was a 2-on-0, so he
I
pushed the
remember,
net
yeah.
off, because then instead of having to face a 2-on-0, he got to face a penalty shot, and I believe he saved it. And then I think they might have changed the rule because of that, but that was a great
Really
little,
quick thinking. Yeah, I
Yes.
love that moment.
very much so. Okay, let's go to, sorry, because I was setting some of these aside as we go, and then I haven't had a chance to kind of revisit them. Let's go to Alex Hurl. He says, all the road games this month is going to be interesting. Will we talk about this team kind of sitting just at that just above 500 level, Struddy? Do you think they're going to view coming back from another long road trip as that kind of being the benchmark? Let's get back above 500, and we know we're good at home, and then we can start to make some hay.
Yeah, they have been good at home. I think there's a part of it. I mean, they haven't really been home much at all this year. They've had a lot of road trips, and they have more now coming up. So when you're as a team, I like going on the road early in the year. I wanted to get as many road games out of the way, because when towards the end of the year when you're tired, is nothing like sleeping in your own bed. And anyone who's traveled knows that getting home to your own bed is the best thing. Then you have your own routines, your own gyms, all that stuff, access to all the benefits you have at home. So yeah, getting these out of the way is important. But leaving points on the table isn't a benefit. Like, they've left 3 points on the table the last 2 nights, and that, man, if you could bank those, then the rest of the road trips, after this aren't quite as daunting. But now you got 1 out of 4. You got to find a way to maybe make those points up somewhere. So it's always one game at a time. But overall, I believe players would prefer getting road trips off the docket earlier, especially ones out east.
CJ says Stuart Skinner has been really decent for sure this year. He just seems to have a hard time when they are rushing on him. Looks like he's just throwing out a yard sale in hopes he guesses right. I know a number of people have brought up on the stream that former goalie Stephen Valaquette, I think he does some numbers and some deep dives on how goalies are on the rush, and apparently Skinner and his metrics is not very good. Do you see that? Did you ever play in front of a goalie who you had that mindset of I want to force this guy into, cutting back or whatever, and limit rush chances because I know he's not that strong?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever got that detailed into it. Like, as a D-man, you're always trying to keep them to the outside. That's my goal. I don't want you in the middle of the ice. The further outside the dots you are, the better. So that's always my mindset. So I don't think I ever changed it from goalie to, well, I know I never changed it from goalie to goalie. I just felt, and this is the truth, if you shoot from outside the dots and you score, that's on the goalie. I don't care who's shooting it. I don't care who's in the net. I always felt that way. And if they got it on the inside, especially because I was unable to stop them, then that was on me.
And a little bit of insight as to why shots off the rush are harder, because you're just, as a goalie, and I just heard Devin Dubnyk talk about this the other day. It's a big part of it is, as a goalie, your feet aren't completely set. If the players, a big point shot, you could it's coming, you telescope out, your feet get set. It's one, your depth is one thing that you now don't have to think about. Your depth is set because your feet are set. It's like just one other aspect that it adds, and it can be tricky. And someone made I'm kind of watching Stu a little bit over the last few games. I think this will come up again. His depth in the net on certain goals, and I think we'll revisit that. Even though I think the common narrative is that he's not great laterally, I think there might be a depth issue there as well. Kayla Weathorn pointing out, in your own bed with your own filthy pillows.
They're not filthy when it's your own. When it's your own filth, it's not filthy, Kayla. You know that.
Just Steve joining us on the chat, of course, says, how important is it for the big guys to show some emotion after a goal, especially for the younger guys watching them? We saw this from McDavid last night. We kind of talked about it. Is it good to see? We've talked about how Connor and Leon are obviously like the emotional kind of barometer of the team. Do you think it's good to see that, so a young player can go, oh, good, I can whoop it up a bit if I score a nice goal?
You want to create emotion. That's the biggest thing. How do you create emotion? Well, you do it through obviously winning and scoring, but there's other ways, like a block shot and talking about that, or a nice back check or a big hit or whatever. But the young players are always watching the older players. And I'd always like my guy was Mark Messier. When I was with the Canucks, I was young, coming into the league, and I watched him all the time. And I watched for when he kind of let loose a bit. Then I could let loose. Like not as far as going out, but just on the ice.
Right.
And try to look for cues, because there are appropriate times to be, saying things and not saying. Like I remember one time, another guy I looked up to was Adrian O'Coin. And we were playing Colorado, and they had a player named Messier with the last name Messier on their team as well.
Okay.
Our team was Messier.
Right.
So I said, come on, Mess. You got to be the best Messier on the ice tonight. And I was trying to get everyone fired up. And O'Coin just leans over, he's like, now's not the time. I was like, oh my God. I felt sick. I was like, that's my man, Mark, and I felt so bad. And so, but that's what you do. You have to learn, but you're trying to provide emotion, right? And I still think it was a pretty funny line, but it's still, there is emotion you need to create. And you, at times, I think the older guys have to let it go a little bit so that the younger guys feel that they can go out there and show some emotion and have some fun, because they are filled with emotion. Everything's a first rink, first goal, first meal at this restaurant, first trip to New York. Like everything's a first for most of these kids.
Yeah. And I'd like to see them top to bottom having a little bit more fun. And I think that's a little bit absent from this team. And I understand why, but I feel like that's something they need to inject from within. Mike Tyson had an observation here, Struds. Maybe you've seen something to this end. He says, can we talk about our forwards always chipping the puck back in the team's own corner? I noticed that Edmonton forwards always do that. I watch a ton of other teams and they almost never do that compared. Is this something you've seen? I can't visualize it, Struddy, but have you noticed this?
I have seen, I wouldn't say it's a ton, but I have seen it. I can, again, just speak from my own experience. When you work hard as a D to get it up to the winger and the winger throws it back at you, you're like, why are you throwing it back at me? I don't want this thing. That's a live grenade. I just got it up to you. And, I got it out of my corner. I want you to go with somewhere else. So oftentimes it's because they don't feel they have a play to get out. And then they throw it back to the guy that just got it. And that's an easy play. And so I don't like that. I like the puck going up the ice. Same thing on the neutral zone regroup. So if if I go back and get it on our blue line and pass to my partner on the other side of the blue line and he passes it up, don't pass it back to me. Just go up, skate. We've got it up the ice. We're trying to get a territorial advantage. Or when D-men take it at their blue line and skate it all the way behind their net, we don't want that. We don't want to bring it back. You're forechecking ourselves. Get it up the ice. So as a rule, you generally want to move the puck up ice. Now, I'm not familiar with many forechecks that don't want you to put it back down low, but
right.
Worst case, bump it to the center, bump it off the wall, eat it. It's even better to eat it. Keep it on the wall rather than throwing it back to a guy that just fought 10 seconds to get it up to you.
Right. Okay. We'll go with a couple quick ones here to finish up. We're over an hour already. Thank you to everyone for joining us on the stream here. Speaking of the stream, Nick, our buddy Nick Biskupek, I don't think I've seen him this year, but he's back. He's got a couple of good quick hitters for us here. He says, who's the best goalie you ever played with or against? Maybe with is an easy question, but tell us a bit about that. And maybe you could give one other name, somebody who you played against, who you found troubling.
Henrik Lundqvist was my goalie at the Rangers for a couple of years. And I can say he's the only goalie that regularly I'd be on the ice and I'd be like, oh shit, we're going to get scored on because something I did or one of my teammates, and he'd stop it. And you're like, I can't believe he just stopped that goal. Like he regularly did that. So that was before goals above expected, but I can tell you he had a ton. But the best goalie I ever played against was Dominic Hasek. He intimidated shooters. Like I know our shooters wouldn't shoot on him. Because they're like, we can't score on him. He was so unorthodox, so competitive. No, I scored on him from the blue line. Unfortunately, I didn't see it go in. I'm not even sure it was actually my goal, but he was so intimidating, and I still think he was the best that I ever played against.
Maybe that was the key to shoot without looking. You had a better chance of it.
No one knew. Well, when it came off my stick, no one knew where it was going, including me. So it's like anyone's best guess.
All right, actually, let's go to the last one here. I'm just going to say too, a couple people had a couple good comments about your attire. Roadrunner said, late to the party here. This is from Twitter, but has someone offered Struds $5 so he can get some heat in his office? And
it is cold in here. It's cold in here. That's why I got this bad boy on.
And Hamilton wondering if that's Gore-Tex, like Costanza, because we know that
it is cold. I haven't turned the furnace on in the basement yet. I come down here, I feel good. I always have this jacket hanging up in my office here, and it's freezing in here. I gotta turn the heat on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm freezing.
Okay, last one. Here's a good hypothetical from JL. Ask Struddy, would you clone your pet for 50K like Tom Brady apparently did? Or have you had a pet in your life that you would do that for?
No, I think a life runs its course. Like I've had 2 dogs. I'm on my second one here. My first dog, Lady, was amazing. It was our family pet, and now this one's Ruby. Amazing. She sleeps with here in me when I do my shows. So yeah, they're great, but I think they run their course, right? I don't think I want to do it again. And then try to, always comparing the second dog or the clone to the first one. So
yeah,
no, I would not. I would not be at all interested, Zubes.
And I'll say I had one dog ever that was like my dog, who I had for 16 years, Noelle, and she was the most wonderful dog ever. And as everyone thinks their dog is, but really,
for sure,
I feel like any other dog I ever get is going to be compared to her. And I'll just say this: I do have somewhere a little Ziploc bag of hair, so that would have DNA in it. So
yeah, you can.
I think the price has gone up. I think when she originally passed around 2014, I think they used to say it was like 20K to clone a dog. I guess it's up to 50K now. I don't really think so. There would be a number of things, especially in my finances, that would have to change pretty significantly. But I agree. I think you'd always be a little bit, I don't know, I'd be a little bit worried about the clone dog with like horror movie stuff. And I think I'd be too worried about it.
Not the same. Not the same. All right, buddy. Everybody, thanks for those questions, everybody, and Zubie for lining them up. Listen, another fun show. We really appreciate it. We love all of our sponsors, being partners with us here to help us get this out to you every week. We're back next week. The Oilers will play a few more games, and who knows what will happen with the Blue Jays between then and now.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Zubes, as we head off into the darkness?
No, it'll be nice here for hopefully the team. They got a few days off, regroup a little bit, and come back on Saturday and against the Avs, right? So they got to get up for that one.
It's going to be a fun one. We'll have a post game there for sure, a pod, and we'll have one tomorrow night, Thursday night, an off night pod. So tune in for that. Got your back. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Tell a friend, give us a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night. See you, everybody.